A few years ago, I quit Instagram for 5 months. I felt completely out of the loop, missing out on trends, class group chats, and all the updates. But something unexpected happened. I actually felt happier, and I even scored the highest grade in that semester. How did that happen? The answer is FOMO, which is this weird anxiety that creeps in when you think that others are having these life-changing experiences, that others are living this full life, and you are left behind. But why do we exactly feel this? I'm absolutely sure almost all of us have felt this at some point of time or other in our lives. And in this video, I'm going to explore exactly this: what FOMO is, what causes it, and most importantly, how can we overcome it? Let's get started. First, let's talk about social media. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, they all show us only the highlights of people's lives. And I totally used to fall prey to this. I would see amazing photos, vacations, fancy meals and gatherings, but I would never see the day-to-day struggles, the challenges, the boring, the mundane parts of these people's lives. And I would always think to myself, oh, what exactly am I doing with my life? There is so much out there to do. Whatever the shit I was doing at that time, I'm just doing this. I can be doing so much more. And these perfect people, on the other hand, would have their life sorted out. But over time, I realized that this curated content creates an illusion in our minds that everybody is living a picture-perfect life and we are not. Think about it. It's only the posts which are about success and happiness and motivation that are, exploding with likes and comments. And the real vulnerable content that is mundane and boring and, quiet, which reflects our actual lives, they barely make the cut to our feeds. And when we are constantly comparing ourselves to these illusions, it can be hard to believe that we are having such a good life because we are always comparing ourselves to the others, which nicely brings us to the next point. They say that comparison is the thief of joy. Our brains are sort of wired to compare ourselves to other people, and this trait actually goes way back to our early days as human beings. Back then, comparing our skills or contributions to the group was very important to the survival. You see, your social standing was very important because if you didn't have a good standing, if people didn't like you, if you were, not comparable to other people, they would simply leave you and a lion would come along and eat you up. But modern worlds are comparatively safer places, and playing the same comparison game in this modern world, specifically in the digital world, in terms of likes, comments, and online popularity, just makes our life so much more miserable. We sort of forget that what we are seeing online is not the full story. And as a result, this comparison game can make us feel sad, it can cause anxiety and depression, and even feelings of inferiority. We are always trying to catch up to some unrealistic expectations, and I've been there. The pressure of catching up can actually weigh you down, and it can actually cause a lot of stress and anxiety that is not just worth it because life is so much more meaningful without that. And lastly, but in relation, one of the biggest factors that causes FOMO is this phenomenon called analysis paralysis. In this modern world, we have overwhelming number of choices, whether it's choosing the career path or deciding on the weekend trip or even watching a show on Netflix. There are just so many options to choose from that we constantly feel like we might be choosing the wrong one. And instead of enjoying what we have, we focus on what could have been. We don't just fear missing out on one particular experience, we fear missing out on the best experience of what could have been. So, having said that, how do we finally overcome FOMO or this fear of missing out? I'm going to give you 3 practical steps which have worked for me, which have been tried and tested by me, and feel free to comment down below if you yourself have tried some things and which have worked for you. So, getting along. Number 1, practicing gratitude. When we focus on what we have instead of what we are missing out on, our perspectives actually shift. I tend to keep a gratitude journal with myself in which I constantly write the things that I'm grateful for, and they can be the big things, the small things, everything counts. And it's a bit cliche, but the more number of things you write and you don't repeat the things that you write in that, I think the more powerful this gratitude journal thing becomes. Whether it's a great conversation with an old friend or that delicious cup of coffee in that warm cafe, I write down everything, and when I have intentionally put something onto a diary, it is much more likely for me to remember those things throughout the day and throughout the weeks, which is actually making this experience of life much more meaningful, especially during the times when I'm, watching these curated feeds and I feel like, oh, I'm not having a life. Dude, I'm actually having a good life. Number 2, digital detox. Taking regular breaks from social media can be incredibly refreshing. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I took a 5-month digital detox from Instagram after watching one of Matt Diavelo's videos and getting dramatically motivated to do that. And it was actually weird and strange at the start because, as I mentioned, I was not up to date with the latest trends, the chit chat, the gossip of the college and stuff. But I was also surprisingly feeling this sense of liberation, this sense of freedom, and this sense of focus. And I actually ended up scoring the highest in that semester, although just quitting Instagram was not the reason for that. So what I'm trying to say is, if we regularly schedule periods of us not stimulating our brains with these social media sites, it may be some hours throughout the day, some weeks throughout the month, or some months throughout the year, how much ever you want that period to be. I think it can sort of reset our mental patterns into not feeling the comparison game and actually focusing on things that bring value to our lives and which makes our lives a bit more meaningful than these social media sites. Number 3, prioritizing meaningful experiences. Now this comes from personal experience, but impressing is just so exhausting. Instead of chasing likes and external validation, stuff that is not in our control, stuff that we will only get while pretending to be somebody else, rather than doing all these things, if we focus our energies on doing stuff that actually brings value, that makes you happier, that makes you more fulfilled, and that provides meaning to your life, if we focus our energies on these things, I think that has been the time spent better. Now, this could mean different things for different people. It could be learning a new skill or spending quality time with your loved ones, or even investing time into personal growth and development. But when you genuinely focus your time on activities that fulfill you, you naturally start to value your own unique journey and not feel this sense of missing out on wonderful experiences. Plus, these moments become real memories that add depth and meaning to your life, and you sort of feel that you yourself are living the actual meaningful life rather than the ones who are just posting their good moments on Instagram. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it this far, please hit like and subscribe. As always, it means a lot. And as I mentioned earlier, please comment down below one thing that you're grateful for or any other techniques that have helped you cure your FOMO. I love hearing about your thoughts and experiences. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.